Good morning, everyone. My name is Macy, and this morning we are in chapter 9 of Matthew in our study this month. And this morning, something really just stuck out to me for the first time that I'm so excited to share with you. But I do just want to give a little bit of context before we jump in. So this whole chapter, you're going to read it today, or you already have read it. You'll see that there's many, many miracles, many healings that Jesus is performing here. And all of them put his authority on display. That's a huge theme in Matthew, the authority of the kingship of Jesus. But in all of these instances in chapter 9, you see him healing people, very broken, very sick people. But in all of them, the thing that is the pattern here is that yes, Jesus is healing a physical ailment that they have, but he's also addressing a heart issue that they have, a sin issue, a faith issue. We see a very clear pattern that Jesus is really just about the human condition rather than the physical condition. And so with that being said, and that kind of setting the scene for us, the specific passage I'm going to read this morning that really it jumped out. It's going to start in verse 10 of chapter 9. So at this point, Jesus has just called Matthew, and it's kind of bizarre because it only takes one verse for Matthew to describe his own calling of Jesus. It's very simple. In that verse, Jesus simply said, "Hey, Matthew, come follow me." And Matthew, the tax collector, just said, "All right, cool." And he dropped it and he followed Jesus. And so we're picking up in verse 10. While Jesus was having dinner at Matthew's house, many tax collectors and sinners came and ate with him and his disciples. Now, just a little freebie right here, just something that I took note of, was that many tax collectors and sinners came to Jesus. Jesus's personality, the way that he carried himself was very attractive to even unbelievers. And so as someone who's trying to emulate and follow the ways of Jesus, it speaks volumes to me. Is my life attractive even to people who are far from the faith? And so it goes on to say, when the Pharisees saw this, they asked the disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" Pause again. Why were the Pharisees stalking Jesus? Were they just sitting outside the house? Were they looking through the window? Like, that's creepy. I don't know. That stuck out to me too. We're just going to keep going. But they ask the disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" On hearing this, Jesus said, here's the red letters right here, "It is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. But go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifice, for I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners." This stuck out to me like a nail this morning when I was reading this, because I've read this passage so many times. But what really stood out to me, this account in Matthew is the only account Matthew takes account of when Jesus quoted Hosea 6:6, when he said, "But go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifice." He's clearly telling these Pharisees who spend so much time learning the things of the Lord, but want nothing to do with the sick, with the sinner, with even addressing their own sin. He is so clearly telling them and me that he has come to meet people where they're at, to meet me where I'm at in my sickness, in my hurt, and he's here to be my healer. Psalm 51 says, "My sacrifice, O God, is a broken and contrite spirit, for that you will not despise." And that's paraphrased, but that's basically our prayer every morning when we wake up. We need to give God our brokenness, our messiness, whatever sickness is in our heart that needs healing. Like, he wants that, and he wants people who realize their need for that. So I hope that speaks to you this morning like it spoke to me, and the rest of this chapter is just full of gold. So as you read today, I just pray that the Holy Spirit speaks to you like he did to me.